If the increase of the U.S. debt was measured by the blades of a fan, it could create a hurricane. We have all suffered the worst inflation in 40 years due to the out-of-control spending and money printing of our Washington politicians. The U.S. sits on the edge of a recession, and the dollar is about to lose its favored status as the world's reserve currency. Our debt is not lost on the rest of the world. With a deficit of almost $32 trillion and almost $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities, we are headed to a financial future apocalypse. To put things into perspective, your portion of the outstanding debt, every man, woman, and child in this country's portion, is getting very close to $1 million apiece. We can come back from this, but it will take an iron constitution and electing true fiscal conservatives. During my time in the legislature, I've voted against borrowing money every year. Government should be no different in how it operates financially than you or I when we operate our households. If you don't have it, don't spend it, except in the event of war. Triage and prioritize. We don't need to be spending money on stuff like how cocaine affects the sexual behavior of Japanese quails. I'm not making that up. And yes, Washington has spent yours and my tax dollars on stuff like that. Untold billions on garbage and non-core functions of government, all the while telling us that Social Security will be bankrupt by 2033. We don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. My opponent has voted for Biden's agenda to spend trillions. He conveniently votes however is needed to regularly increase the debt ceiling. He votes no under Democrat rule when he knows there are enough Democrat votes for it to pass, and yes to raise it under Republican rule. Then just last November, he just threw in the towel and joined forces with Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, and joined the ranks of a handful of Republicans like Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, and Chuck Schumer to vote for Biden and Pelosi's $1.7 trillion budget, chocked full of billions of dollars for climate change and gender and equity initiatives and plenty of money for LGBTQ and transgender programs. If that wasn't enough, he led the fight, praised and voted for the $280 billion CHIPS corporate welfare bill that gave tons of tax dollars to private business. And if you'll recall, enriched many politicians and their spouses who conveniently made investments in chip stocks before its passage. If you help me get to Washington, I will fight to get our national debt and our deficit under control. And I'll do it regardless of who sits in the White House. We cannot sit back and continue to party on the Titanic as we clearly see it heading toward the iceberg. There will be a day of reckoning, and I don't want it for me or you or our children or even our grandchildren. Please consider joining Team Eubanks and making a donation to our campaign today. And share this website and video. I'm not bought and paid for by special interests like my opponent, and I never intend to be. My only obligation is to defend this great republic from all enemies, foreign and domestic, to protect our constitutional freedoms and liberties, and to represent you. Let's make America financially solvent again. God bless.